They are sweeping everywhere around this area, displacing people and offering them no options of where to go. So now, right now I'm stuck on a sidewalk with all of my belongings and don't know where I'm taking them.
Manhattan, a symbol of wealth and success, is home to thousands of homeless people. The crisis has grown to alarming levels, with many forced to survive on the streets. Despite the city's immense resources, the issue continues to worsen.
Would you have any spare change, please? Could you come here some?
How did it reach this point, and what's being done to address it? This documentary explores the harsh reality of homelessness in Manhattan and the ongoing efforts to provide solutions for those affected. Homelessness in Manhattan has been steadily rising, with the COVID-19 pandemic pushing the crisis to new heights. In New York City, over 106,000 people are homeless, and 10,000 of them live in Manhattan. The surge in homelessness can be traced back to rising housing costs and ongoing economic uncertainty. Rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Manhattan now averages over $400 per month, putting it out of reach for many residents. As housing costs skyrocket, more and more people find themselves living in unsafe, overcrowded shelters or on the streets. The struggle to afford a basic roof over their heads has become an all too real experience for countless families and individuals. Homelessness in America is about more than just poverty. It's a sign of deeper systemic failures.
I encountered some difficulties around my community just as well in my home.
Yeah.
But it never did get resolved. So I became homeless and going through a lot of turbulent extremes, with no help.
In Manhattan, many working families live paycheck to paycheck. Despite working hard every day, they are just one setback away from losing everything. The tough choices they face, whether to pay for housing, food, or healthcare, make it nearly impossible to balance. For many, the burden of rising costs leaves them with no stable housing and no way to escape the cycle. The shortage of affordable housing makes the problem even worse. While rents continue to climb, there are fewer low-cost housing options available. This imbalance creates a huge barrier for those who need help the most. Even people with jobs, often in low-wage sectors, can't keep up with the ever-increasing cost of living. This is not just a local issue in Manhattan. It's a national crisis, with cities across the United States facing similar struggles. The question remains, how much longer can a city known for its wealth and opportunity continue to ignore this growing problem? Manhattan and the nation as a whole must confront this crisis with urgency and compassion before it spirals out of control. Manhattan's homeless population is as diverse as the city itself, with each group facing its own set of challenges in a place that often seems indifferent to their struggles. While many people picture homelessness as a result of poverty, the reality is far more complicated. The faces of homelessness represent not only systemic failures, but also human resilience and determination. Take Sheila White, for example. At 28, she was a single mother working as a cashier at a Manhattan grocery store. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, Sheila lost her job and could no longer afford the $800 rent for her Harlem apartment. Despite years of hard work, Sheila and her teenage daughter were evicted and found themselves in a crowded shelter. "I never thought this would happen to me," she said in an interview. "One bad break and you're out here with nothing." Sheila's story is all too common among the working poor people with jobs who are just one paycheck away from losing everything. This is especially true in Manhattan, where the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment exceeds $400. For many, even having steady employment isn't enough to keep up with rising costs. Families are forced to choose between paying rent, buying food, or covering healthcare, but rarely can they afford all three. Another significant portion of the homeless population is made up of people struggling with addiction and mental health issues. The opioid epidemic fueled by fentanyl and heroin has trapped many in a vicious cycle of dependency. Without adequate support, these individuals are often pushed out onto the streets, their struggles worsening with each passing day. Immigrants and refugees face their own set of challenges. Arriving in Manhattan with limited resources and often no legal status, they find themselves stuck in overcrowded shelters or living on the streets. Similarly, young people, particularly those from the LGBTQ+ community, face rejection from their families because of their sexual orientation or gender identity, leaving them to navigate the unforgiving streets alone. Veterans who have served their country also make up a significant portion of the homeless population. Many battle PTSD and a lack of support, leaving them without stable housing. These stories raise an important question. How can a city so rich in opportunity continue to leave so many people behind? The homelessness crisis in Manhattan is driven by a range of factors that have been building for years. The most immediate and pressing issue is the skyrocketing cost of housing. With the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment exceeding $400 per month, many people simply can't afford to live in the city. This leaves low and moderate-income individuals with no choice but to seek shelter in overcrowded facilities, or in the worst cases, take to the streets. As rents climb and the availability of affordable housing shrinks, more people are being pushed into homelessness, creating a dire situation. Another key factor contributing to homelessness is the mental health and addiction crisis. Many individuals suffering from substance abuse or mental health issues find it nearly impossible to maintain stable housing. Without proper access to treatment and support services, they often end up homeless, their conditions worsening with each day spent on the streets. The lack of affordable mental health care and addiction services means that these individuals are trapped in a cycle that's incredibly difficult to break. The city's large immigrant population also plays a significant role in the growing homelessness issue. Many immigrants arrive in Manhattan with little more than hope and ambition, only to face barriers like lack of legal status, limited resources, and no access to government assistance. These challenges make it nearly impossible for them to secure stable housing or steady employment. As a result, the immigrant community faces higher rates of homelessness and housing instability. Homelessness in Manhattan isn't just a local issue, it's a reflection of a national crisis. Across the country, vulnerable populations are being left behind, unable to access the resources they need to survive. In this documentary, we explore how these root causes are shaping the homelessness crisis in Manhattan and what must be done to address them before the situation becomes irreversible. The question remains, how much longer can we allow this crisis to persist in a city that is supposed to offer opportunity for all? The effects of homelessness in Manhattan go far beyond the individuals directly affected. They ripple throughout the entire community. For those experiencing homelessness, the consequences are both mental and physical, often devastating. Without stable housing, people face extreme challenges to their mental health. Anxiety, depression, and PTSD are common among the homeless, with many struggling to maintain a sense of identity and self-worth. The trauma of losing their homes, families, and security can lead to overwhelming feelings of hopelessness and despair. Physically, the toll is just as severe. Homeless individuals are more vulnerable to a wide range of health issues, from malnutrition and respiratory infections to more serious conditions like hypothermia and skin diseases. Without access to basic hygiene or medical care, these problems only get worse. The risk of contagious diseases like tuberculosis, HIV, AIDS, and hepatitis also increases, especially in crowded shelters or unsanitary living conditions. Disturbingly, overdose deaths have risen in New York City shelters, highlighting the deadly physical consequences of living without stable housing. The impact on families and children is especially heartbreaking. Thousands of children in Manhattan are forced to live in shelters or on the streets, exposed to violent substance abuse and constant instability. These children often face emotional and developmental difficulties that hinder their academic and social success. The long-term effects of homelessness on these young people create a cycle of poverty and hardship that can last for generations. This cycle not only harms individuals, but also has lasting consequences for the community and future generations. Homelessness also strains public services, particularly healthcare. The city spends billions each year trying to address the crisis, but shelters remain overcrowded and resources are stretched thin. Emergency services and healthcare systems are overwhelmed by the complex needs of the homeless, and without sufficient support, these services struggle to meet demand, leaving many people without the help they desperately need. One of the most urgent steps in addressing homelessness is the creation of more affordable housing. With rising rent prices, especially in Manhattan, many people simply can't afford to stay in the city. The city needs to implement policies that prioritize the development of low-income housing units. This would not only help those currently homeless, but also prevent more people from falling into homelessness as the cost of living continues to rise? Measures like rent control and expanded housing subsidies could provide relief to families struggling to make ends meet. These policies would help create a more stable living environment, reducing the risk of future homelessness. Affordable housing is a key part of the solution, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. We also need to strengthen support services for mental health and addiction recovery. Many people experiencing homelessness struggle with untreated mental health issues or substance abuse, which only exacerbates their situation. It's essential to integrate housing with access to therapy, addiction treatment, and healthcare. Expanding services in these areas is critical to breaking the cycle of homelessness. Simply providing shelter isn't enough. People need the right resources and support to rebuild their lives. Improving social safety nets is also crucial. The government must increase funding for affordable housing initiatives, strengthen eviction prevention programs, and provide greater assistance to families at risk of losing their homes. Outreach programs that connect people to social services and emergency housing are essential to ensuring that no one falls through the cracks. By focusing on prevention and support, we can help people stay in their homes, ultimately reducing the number of individuals who end up on the streets. This proactive approach is key to tackling homelessness in Manhattan and beyond. Walking through the streets of Manhattan, I can't help but feel uneasy as I pass by the increasing number of homeless individuals. It's not just the sight of people huddled on sidewalks or wrapped in blankets, it's the harsh reality that each of these people has their own story, their own struggles, yet they remain invisible to the rest of the world. The stark contrast between the towering skyscrapers and the people living on the streets is a glaring reminder of a deep injustice embedded in the fabric of this city. How did we allow this to happen? How can we as a society stand by and let so many of our fellow human beings suffer in such visible, degrading conditions? Manhattan is known as the land of opportunity, but it increasingly fails to provide that opportunity for its most vulnerable residents. The city was built for those who can afford its astronomical rents, leaving those who cannot fall through the cracks. Yet this isn't just an issue in Manhattan, this is a national crisis. Homelessness is a growing problem across the entire country, and it requires more than temporary solutions like shelters and food programs. We need a comprehensive approach that addresses the root causes of homelessness, the lack of affordable housing, mental health challenges, and addiction. Until these systemic issues are addressed, we will continue to see people, families, children, and individuals suffering on the streets, caught in a cycle they can't escape. This crisis cannot be ignored any longer. It demands immediate action, not just from the city, but from communities and governments across the nation. If we don't take action now, the problem will only get worse, and the very idea of the American dream will continue to slip further out of reach for those who need it the most. Conclusion. The homelessness crisis in Manhattan, from Sheila's struggle to the veterans on our streets, is a call to action for all of us. It's time to demand affordable housing, better mental health care, and stronger support for those in need. You can make a difference. Visit Coalition for the Homeless, org to donate or volunteer, or share this video to spread the word. Together, we can build a city and a country that leaves no one behind.